Nice. Awesome, awesome. So these guys are just coming in, but we can get started. Um uh I don't know if Matt explained to you, but these are all transitioning service members who are watching live, and then we're also streaming this on three channels live as well. So we get about 800 people a day watching those streams.
It's
So
awesome.
the conversation that we're going to have is super valuable to this crew of transitioning service members who are just getting ready for their next chapter as they're heading out into the civilian world. So we truly appreciate having you with us, man. Dan, for those of you guys who don't know, Danny Ledford, he's the senior director of feasibility and business analytics at Atrium Hospitality. This is a huge a huge company that owns 20 or seven, I'm sorry, 73 hotels around the country in 25 different states. They're a management company, and we'll get into all this in a minute. He'll tell you all about it, but he's been there for 6 years, has over 20 years of experience in this area throughout his career. So he's just a really high level and talented executive who has some great, I'm sure, lessons to share about his journey and advice that he's had over the years. So, Danny, thanks again, man, for being here. We appreciate it.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, tell everyone a little bit about your start coming out of school and 20 years ago, and what that was like, and what brought you down this path that you're on now.
So I started at the University of Georgia. Going into college outside of high school, I realized that I was spending too much money there. I need a little more discipline, and so then I moved to University of North Georgia, joined the ROTC there for a couple of years. Um, didn't finish the ROTC. I wanted to get jump right into my career. I kind of wish I did finish in commission, but I did not, and so ended up being an accountant for an online university, for-profit university called Kaplan. You guys probably know it as a test prep online university. I worked there for about 10 years as an accountant, or no, 2 years as an accountant, and then transitioned into business intelligence, which is basically just numbers, except you're now doing analytics for the numbers as opposed to just accounting work, debits and credits. Um, after 10 years there, I went to IHG, the hotels group IHG, and did 3 years there with analytics. And now I'm at Atrium Hospitality. And so IHG is basically a brand. And so when you see hotels, IHG doesn't really own the hotels. They're the brand of the hotels. So you see all these IHG flags, but really you have different hotel owners that own the hotel. And then in most cases, they have a management company that manages the hotel for them. And then they put the IHG flag on the hotel. And basically, the biggest value proposition for that is to get the reservation system. And so when you go look for hotels on Expedia or on the IHG, those hotels come up for guests and make reservations. And so that's really the biggest value proposition because you know Holiday Inn, you know Holiday Inn Express. If you look at an independent hotel in a location, you may not know that hotel, then you're less likely to stay there. And so
Jeez.
that's why a lot of these hotel owners put the brands on their hotels because people are familiar with those brands and they're more likely to stay there. Anyway, so now I work for the ownership side, Atrium Hospitality, and we have a group of Hilton hotels, Marriott's, IHGs, as well as a few independents that don't have a flag that we own. We're one of the largest owners and operators. So when you see hotel management companies, most of them manage the hotels, but they have multiple owners that own the hotel. But we own almost all, I think all but one of our hotels we own and operate. And that's right now it's 72. And so we're at 72 hotels across the nation from East Coast to West Coast. It's most of them are full service. We're the largest owner of Embassy Suites for Hilton, but we have Embassy Suites, Hilton's, Marriott's, Renaissance, Sheraton's, Westin's. We have a couple of Holiday Inns, and then some select service like Courtyards, Residence Inns, Hampton Inns, things like that. And so what I do now is I do reporting and analytics for the whole company. And so really what we do is we pull in all this information from the different systems, put it in a single location, and I create dashboards and analytics for the company executives to manage and operate and use that information. And so um, that's where I am right now. We have a small but mighty team of analysts that work with, one day it's exciting because one day you can be working with operations, figuring out what they need to see. The next day you could be working with HR, uh, determining what's going on in their department. So you're not like pigeonholed into one area. You have insight into the whole company with doing this.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like Atrium as a company? Like what are all the different departments or divisions? What are some of the jobs that people do there? Just to give them a taste of what it's like to work in this hospitality industry.
Yeah, so we have almost 8,000 employees, and that's because we own and operate our hotels. So we own, so the employees at the hotels are our employees, and a lot of them are. So at the hotel itself, you have a rooms division, which is mainly housekeepers. You have a group sales division, which our hotels, we have transient. Most of our guests are either transient or groups. So you have companies that come in, you can have the government come in. We work with the DoD a lot, especially in Huntsville, Alabama, where they have groups that come in. And so we have a sales division for selling to those corporations or the government or associations to sell group, to get the groups to come into our hotels versus another hotel in the market. You have uh, food and beverage, so you can have catering folks at the hotel that service whenever the groups come in and they use function space, or you can have outlets like restaurants and bars. You can have engineers at the hotel, so they maintain and upkeep the rooms, make sure the hotel's in good condition. Then you have an administrative, which is a general manager, assistant general manager. And then HR. So we have a director of human resources at the hotels that kind of manage the employees. So there's many different responsibilities. And the good thing, and maybe I'm going ahead here, but the good thing is that this particular industry, you have the ability to come into the front line of the hotel, the staff level of the hotel, and rise to a GM pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen that with multiple fellow employees, where even at the corporate office where I work, where their first job. In fact, I think our VP of Performance and Analytics here at Atrium, he started as a chef in a hotel.
Wow.
And the ability to go into the front line of a hotel and then just prove yourself and keep working your way up, you can do that.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to have a college degree. If you do a great job at your staff
Yeah.
level, you can become a department head. If you do a great job at department head at the hotel, you become assistant GM or GM and start running a hotel. If you do a great job running your hotel, you become a regional um, VP of operations. So it's the mobility within the industry is really good as well.
Right. A lot of forward facing skills. It sounds like needed. You're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of staff, all
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, Danny, about specifically what you're doing in analytics? Because I know a lot of the folks, a lot of the vets do like that path of analytics. What does that mean? Like, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Where are you getting all that data from? Give them a little taste.
Yeah, so like I said, we have brands at our hotels, and a lot of the brands have their own data that they pull in, like Marriott, Hilton, IHG, and we have the ability to pull that information into our own systems, and so we get a lot of that information from reservation. If we can tell who the guests are, if they stayed with us before, how long they're staying, where they come from. Maybe we're trying to get to the AI space where you almost have the ability to know what they're doing when they go to the hotel or the other places they're going outside the hotel, why they're going to our hotel, and making partnerships maybe to the other businesses. So we get all the brand information. We also get workday information for human resources, so we know everything about our employees. We pull it in. We can make connections with the guests. You know, how are these employees performing? What's their tenure? Does it make a difference if they've been there 6 months or 5 years? How they're performing? We're pulling information from our financial systems, which is like the actuals, budgets, and forecasts. So now we have information from the brand system to say we have this much, maybe we have this much business on the books for December 2025. Are we on pace to meet whatever budget we have in our financial systems coming out of a different system? So really what we do in this department is create intelligence out of the data, right? You can have all this data coming from many systems, but until you put it together and see how one set of data compares to the next, that's where it's all the sausage is made, right? And then put it together into one screen. You have an executive dashboard that puts metrics together from all the systems that executives are responsible for. And so if you didn't have something like this, what leadership would have to do, we'd have to go to one system and check out this metric, have to go to this other system, check out this metric, have to go to this other system and check out this metric to put their complete picture together. But probably most of our value is being able to put everything in one location and serving it up to a leader and saying, all right, here's how you're performing across the board in your department without them having to go and dig and spend time and figure out what's going on in these different areas.
So
Um,
you have to
yeah,
make all those numbers make sense. You have to communicate them in a way that other people aren't familiar with the data can understand what
exactly.
you derive
Exactly.
from all that.
Simplify it down.
Yeah.
Here's your goal for the year. Here's where you're at, and here's the difference or the variance. Just put
Yeah.
it all in one simple view, and it helps them. And it's all tied to company incentives. So it's important to you're not just serving up numbers for a nice to have and say this is a pretty picture. Like we create visualizations, and it's not just a nice to have. It's numbers that mean something to them because a lot of the company's bonus is based off what we put together.
Yeah.
And so if they don't meet these numbers, they don't get a bonus at the end of the year. And
Right.
so as long as your numbers, and we're a data driven company. They manage and lead. We manage and lead off of these dashboards and reports and make sure that what we're doing is the insights are there so they know what actions to take in their job. So that's important too.
Can you give any examples of projects you've done in the past at Atrium where the data that you've collected and analyzed, how it changed the result or how you presented it and what that looked like?
Yeah. So one of them is the guest satisfaction. And so this year, actually, so like I said, we have an executive dashboard. We probably have 6 or 7 metrics across this dashboard that's important to the company. Everything from, you know, employee related, which is turnover, all the way to profits, and everything in between, industry benchmarking. So, one thing is that our hotel could be doing well, but what we try to do is measure against the industry to see how we're truly doing. Because if your hotel's in a market that's doing really well, that's why your hotel's doing well. It's not necessarily maybe you're doing well at the hotel, but it's because the whole market, people are coming to the market and saying, anyway, one of those metrics are also guest satisfaction. And we're putting an emphasis on guest satisfaction. Because ultimately that's the most important thing what we do. If guests are not satisfied, we're not going to survive as a company. And so we've created that metric. We've created the insights, we've created internal goals. What do we want it to be for each of our hotels? Brands have their own benchmarks, but we've risen above those benchmarks and said we're not going to settle for that benchmark. We're going to create better benchmarks as a company, and uh, and we've improved. And just as a shameless plug, a couple of days ago, JD Powers puts out surveys, and they put out surveys every year. And one of the surveys are third-party hotel management companies. And just this year, we were ranked number one in third-party hotel management company in guest satisfaction. And I truly believe because that's why we've put the emphasis on it for this last year, and it's paid dividends. And among all the other third-party management companies, I think it's hotels that had more than 14,000 rooms in their system. Um, we were ranked number one in 2025. So I think that it's an intangible benefit, but I truly believe that if without shining a spotlight on guest satisfaction, that probably would not have happened. And it's honestly within the industry that we're in, where hospitality has kind of taken a little bit of a dip this year, and it's because of um, international travel not coming to the U.S. as much as they were because of political situations. I think the government has been, we've cut funds, or the government has cut funds for government entities, so they're not able to travel as much, and government travel is a big part of our business. And then companies, just the uncertainty, a little bit of uncertainty, the companies have kind of held back as well. But being able to, and we've had to cut somewhat in the industry in our company because of all that, to kind of match the revenue level, right? But being able to improve guest satisfaction even with that, says a lot about the company. And so shining a light on that on our dashboards and reports and making sure that it's still a focus no matter what, has paid dividends for us.
That's great. Congrats on that award. That's not easy to get those JD Powers, man. Those are highly sought after. So that's awesome. What advice would you recommend to transitioning vets who are looking to get into the data analytics field? Like, where are the best places to start? What sort of are there certifications or schooling that you recommend for them? What industries might be ones to for them to consider?
Yeah, a lot of what I do is visualization of analytics, right? And I think that so the tool I use is Tableau. And so if you've never heard of Tableau, it's one of the leading softwares in the industry. It's highly customizable. You can do just about anything. I always say the biggest limitation in Tableau is your own imagination. If you don't know what it can do, then that's the only limitation. If you know what it can do, or if you can Google it, then it could probably do it. So anyway, if you and it's Tableau is Tableau, so that's how you spell it. But if you Google it, they have certifications, they have online free training courses. They even have an online Tableau community where you can go, a public community where you can create stuff on your own and you can publish it to an online community, and people can see it no matter where you're at. So probably what I would recommend is getting the free software, using some data sets. The government, I think it's data.gov, I'm not sure exactly, but the government puts out these big data sets that are easy to use, that mean a lot, that mean something to everybody that's looking at it, not just something that might be in the industry. But you can use these data sets, use the skills that you learn from the online training courses, and start creating visualizations and dashboards and publish them publicly. Because what that'll do is, even if you don't have a formal, you don't even have to have college education, but if you have examples of what you have out there, then prospective employers can go and look at your examples and figure out, what you've done, and see that already, and see that you have capabilities of doing these analytics. And it's all free, right? You don't pay for a Tableau online account. It's out there. If you have a resume, you can put the link in there, and prospective employers can go and see what you've created and know that you've done that, and you have the ability to do that. So that's one way of doing that as well.
What's the difference between Tableau and like Excel?
So Excel, Tableau has the ability to create much better visualizations, which is what. So, I mean, in today's world, people want to make decisions quickly. People want to do things quickly, right? You have Excel, and you can do calculations in Excel. You can do whatever, um, but it's not the best visualization tool. And so you're going to have a grid of numbers, and looking at a grid of numbers as a leader slows down the process of decision making. You can create charts that highlight exactly
Mhm.
what needs to be looked at,
Yeah.
and also has the ability to drill through. So when you see a result of a KPI top level, and you say that KPI is off, it doesn't necessarily to point you to where to go to fix the problem, right? And so Tableau has the ability to drill through. You can create hover overs where you can hover over the chart, and it creates a new, or you can see a new visualization in a window that pops up. That could be a drill through, and you can so you KPI might be the what, what is, how am I tracking to the KPI, but you need the levels of whys below that. Why is it like that? Here's an answer, and then maybe one more why. Why is it like that? Here's an answer, and it better pinpoints them where to go without having to go to multiple places. So they can use that one location. Maybe they have two whys drilled through to know where to pinpoint, where to go to the problem without jumping off. Excel, I think someone just put in the chat pivot table. Um, you can look at a pivot table too, but at the end of the day, it's still a series of numbers. You could probably put some conditional formatting where you can do um, red to blue and figure out what's best to worst. So it does have the ability, but a business intelligence tool like Tableau, you can also publish to the cloud where everyone has access to all looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good tool. Anyway, it's
And
not the
and
only tool. It's just what I'm familiar
no,
with.
I
There's
know, and you're
other
like,
tools out there, but it's a really good one, and it's a good example. The online community is fantastic.
yeah.
And so it's one of these things where you have community sites where people answer questions, YouTube videos to learn. It's just a great tool to use to kind of get into the analytics
And
space.
people can teach themselves Tableau. Like it's something they
Absolutely.
can do on their
There's
own
free
time. And
training.
yeah,
There's free training out the wazoo. You can go
yeah.
to the Tableau site and do for training. There's YouTube videos out there. You don't have to spend money necessarily. If you wanted to spend a little money, you can get Tableau Desktop certified.
Hmm.
Um, Not exactly sure how much it is,
Yeah.
but that if you wanted a resume builder and some kind of certification, you could do that as well. But I would advise just if you wanted to do it, build your online presence with a few visualizations, a few dashboards of,
Good.
whatever data sets you use as
Yeah.
examples.
Do you feel data analytics is a good industry for people going forward? You think there'll be a lot of job opportunities in the future? And
Absolutely. I mean, data analytics leads into the AI space. It's kind of a
yeah,
precursor to that, really. Um, if you understand data analytics and you understand, I guess, the structure data behind it, you can kind of start to understand how AI models are being trained.
yeah,
You can't train an AI model without a good, what you call semantic layer. And the semantic layer is built on top of the data structure that comes from multiple sources,
yeah.
right? And so what this does, you have data sources that come in. It's basically a warehouse of data. Then you have what's called a semantic layer. This is on top of it, and it basically turns all that data into business lingo. What would you call it in a business? And that's kind of where the natural processing language comes in. You could ask questions to
Mm,
chat GPT and it'll give you answers.
yeah.
And then the business intelligence sits on top of that. But if you understand that piece, it's a good segue into machine learning and AI, which absolutely is the future, right? It's
Yeah.
here, it's coming. I would advise getting to know AI, getting to know how it works, understand it, um, and you'll kind of, instead of being a consumer and being um, just asking the questions and taking the answers, you could be on the forefront of understanding how it's created and maybe helping create models in the future. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've done the business intelligence for several years, and I'm getting into the AI space to where you can start doing that piece and understanding the whys behind what people are now using in the business as far as
Yeah.
the AI prompting.
Because you'll be much more effective if you can use that AI to really predict what say that visitor to your hotel is going to do over the next 3 days, where they're going to spend money and what they want out of their stay, all that. And that AI will allow you to
Yeah,
make it
exactly. And it's
on
even
that.
better if you understand why AI is telling you that instead of just
Yeah.
taking its word for it, right? You
Yeah.
understand where that information is coming from, why they're saying it. I think prompt engineering is a big area right now for especially people that are in functions that are not necessarily related to business intelligence
Yeah.
or business analytics. Knowing the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
So if you asking the right question is huge, right? You can ask something a certain way. Chat GPT is going to give you a certain answer, but if you didn't ask it correctly, it's probably going to give you not the answer that you really need, but it's the only one you have. And if you don't fully understand it, that's the one you're going to accept and move forward.
Yeah.
So there's a whole I would advise, and there are free courses out there as well on AI, and I would advise just getting into that space and understanding that.
regardless of career, everyone should jump in there, right?
Yeah,
I was at I think it was a local Target last year, and I was like, I said to the one of the guys walking around, I go, why on like I'm here on weekends and you have the beer next to the diapers? I go, why do you? And but during the week you don't have that. He goes, oh, that's because the fathers come in and buy beer for the football games on the weekend, so we put the diapers next to them. And they said, yeah, we do that because we saw their what people purchased and when, and I guess that's sort of in line exactly with what you do, right?
that's hilarious. Yeah, that's spot on. That's spot on.
I never thought they would go to such lengths to figure out how to set up the displays in the store, but I guess it's big money. What advice would you have for the vets on the call as they get ready to go out there and start introducing themselves to hiring managers in whatever field they choose? What are some of the things that you like to see when you're evaluating talent for your department as far as, you know, this job getting skills, whether it be, interviewing, networking? What are some of you have any tips for them?
So number one, if you're interviewing, and even when you're submitting your resume, I would 100% highlight military experience because listen, today's Gen Zers, I think one of the trends we're seeing is a lack of commitment and discipline, right? They're wanting to uh, they're wanting something that makes them feel good. And if they don't do it, they're going to jump ship, right? If they don't have that, they're going to jump ship because they're leaning more and more to the softer side of things than historical generations. And I think that's an opportunity for vets to differentiate themselves. If you've been in the military, whatever stint, you've shown the commitment, discipline out there that is getting further away from the civilian Gen Zers at this point. And I think if you've highlighted that, then that's extremely important because let's face it, it's a huge headache for companies to constantly rehire and retrain. And not only is it a headache, but it's also expensive. It costs money to rehire and retrain. And this week, I think I read a stat where it said nearly 65% of Gen Z employees leave their job within the first year.
Mhm.
And that's not what people want, right? I mean, I just brought on somebody. I have no idea if the resume is great, the interviews are great, and I'm crossing my fingers that he stays. I think he will. He's a good guy. He seems like he's good. But I'm crossing my fingers that it's a while that he's here with
Yeah,
Atrium. Um, I think that if companies had that comfort in knowing that somebody that they're hiring has already been committed for 5, 10 years in something else and done the hard work and worked hard under pressure, been through it, been through the gauntlet, that probably gives them a little more comfort that you're
no
in a
wedge.
long haul.
Yeah,
So I would
highlight
accentuate
that.
that
Yeah.
and highlight that
Don't be
as
bashful.
an
Yeah, let people
employee.
know, let people, and another huge benefit all the folks here have is they're participating in a government sponsored program that allows them to work for anywhere from 1 to 3 months in like a trial type situation for the company. So there's no salary due. So, you could bring one of them on. Some of them have 20 years of experience, but there's no pay to them for that initial period while you guys get to determine if you both like each other. So
Yeah,
it's even less risky for hiring companies when they bring on our candidates as well. So
right.
yeah, that's awesome. Who's that behind you? Is that a veteran I see on the wall behind you?
That is my grandfather. He was in military intelligence in World War II. Um,
Nice.
I think Eisenhower was general at that point, and he was able to work closely with him. So he unfortunately he passed away when I was 15, 14 or 15. And I
Yeah.
remember him trying to tell me a lot of stories, and I'm just at that age, I was just
Too
like,
young.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever. That's kind of
Yeah.
one of the biggest regrets I have is not actually listening to him,
Listening. Yeah.
what he had to tell me.
He probably had
So
some good ones being in intelligence back then, working on those Enigma machines.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
There, I didn't. He couldn't tell us much what he did, but what he did tell us was pretty interesting.
Yeah, good for you. I'm glad that you Celebrate him on your wall there. That's awesome. Hey, Danny, thank you so much, man. This means so much to us and to all the veterans here on the call to be able to hear a little bit about your story and what you like about data analytics and why it seems like such an exciting field. So we truly appreciate you.
So thank you guys for being here, and thank you for everything you've done, with your career so far and for the country.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
It's
we have
huge.
one. It looks like, did you have a question, Cedric, before we let Danny go?
Yes, Jordy. Thanks for giving me a little couple seconds or a couple minutes. Hey, Danny. Thanks for coming on and talking to us veterans here. I had a question. So I've been applying for some jobs, and just like Jordy was saying, we have 20 years of experience, most of us, if or I wouldn't say all of us, but a good majority of us. Um, and when I'm getting replies or feedback, I'm getting told like, "Oh, well, you don't have enough experience," when clearly on my resume it says Air Force veteran, 20 years experience in the Air Force. Um, what do you think? Is it specific to? I guess my question to you would be like, how do I get around that kind of blockage where people? It seems like it's the standard answer from every single company where they come on and they're just like, well, we decided to go, and it's just like, well, it blows my mind because I'm just like, what? Like, what do you mean lack of experience? Like, I've managed, and some of these roles I'm applying for, they're not even managerial roles. I'm asking for entry level, but it's frustrating when it comes back and it's like, well, you don't have enough experience, and it's like, I'm almost, I'm technically overqualified. Like, I have two like I've managed help desks. I've had subordinates. I've had troops. But now you're gonna sit here and tell me that I don't have enough experience? Like that's what is your thoughts on that?
Well, not knowing the exact jobs and descriptions or requirements that you're hiring for, um, I would, I guess my best answer would be to you can tailor your resumes specific to the job you're applying for as well. And maybe you're doing that already. If you see if you see key requirements within that job description and requirements and must-haves, even the preferreds, it doesn't matter. Then recreate your resume according to that and make it highlight it and make it stand out. And then if they still tell you, if you think that that satisfies the requirements and they respond says it's not enough, respond back to them and say, can you tell me exactly what you're looking for? What is it I don't have? Now, some people will respond, some people won't, but you'll at least get some answers in that. Um, Otherwise, I'm not sure. I can't speak for the companies that are telling you don't have enough experience, and if you clearly do have experience in what they're looking for, I can't speak for them. But all I can say is make sure that you've kind of you can create multiple resumes that are still true, but you highlight and you bring forward the particular responsibilities according to whatever job you're looking for, and that's kind of what I would do up front. And then again, if they're like, no, it's not enough experience, and you think it is, then reply back and ask them exactly what you're missing
And screw
and
them
see
to
from
it.
there.
They're not going to value your 20 years of experience. That's not a
Yeah,
place you want to work
Yeah,
for, you know,
exactly.
right.
as
Exactly.
well. So, but anyway, great question, Cedric. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks,
Danny,
Jordy.
thank you again, buddy. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for doing this.
Thanks, guys. And have a great weekend.
You got it. Take care, buddy.
You too.
All right. So we have another speaker coming on